Hey there, my name is Betsy and I am Carissa's assistant, and I'm going to attempt to make a video here to tell you about some of the things that I do for Carissa as her assistant. I have been doing this for 3 years, so I'm doing quite a few things that I was not doing when I first started. Obviously, she gave me a little, and then as I've been working with her longer, she's been able to pass off more to me. So I will try to keep this as brief as I can, but yet also include enough information that will hopefully be helpful to you as you're looking for someone to help take some things off of your plate so that you can focus on what's really important for you to be doing. First of all, I work for Carissa at least 2 days a week. She asked me to pick 2 days when we started out and to let her know what those days would be. She also asked me to not pick 2 days that were back to back, and there's a reason for that. One of the things I do every time I work is I send an email that it's a welcome email to anyone new who's joined the team. So she didn't want me to send one. She didn't want me to work 2 days that were back to back, say Monday and Tuesday, and then everyone who joined from Wednesday to Sunday just didn't get an email for 5 days. So I picked Monday and Thursday to kind of space those days out, and because that worked with my schedule. Again, I work other days other than that, just if there's more work than I can get done when my kids are napping. But those are just for her to kind of know that she can depend on me for those 2 days for sure. Obviously, if you hire an assistant, you're going to have to give them access to a lot of things. I have access to her Plexus back office, obviously. I have access to her email. I have access to her bank accounts and her credit card statements because I also take care of her financials. We set up a QuickBooks account for her that also I have access to. And something that I have done just to make things easier, I feel like my job as her assistant is to make her life easier. And so I just have a Word document where I have all of her logins and her passwords written down so that I don't have to ask her for those. And then I also just keep on there the list of tasks that I do. I have it even divided by day because some things I do on Monday, some things I do on Thursday only. That's really the only day. Everything else I kind of do both days, but I have things divided out there. Anytime she's like, hey, can we start doing this? I just put it on that Word document so that I can refer to that instead of going back to her all of the time. Of course, there are times I'm going to have to ask her questions, and I think that she expects that, but I just try to keep as much of the information that she has given me in one place so that I can make her life easier and not continually be asking for help. There'll be a few times where I'm going to attempt to turn my phone and show you the computer. I don't know of a different way to do that than this, so I'm sorry. I'm not super technologically advanced, I guess, but I will try to show you a few things. But hopefully just what I'm saying will be helpful enough. Anytime anyone joins her team, customer, ambassador, doesn't matter, I automatically, first thing I do is create a Google contact for them in her Gmail so that she never has to go look for their email address. It's just in there. She can go in to compose an email, type in their name, and it's there. So that's the first thing I do every Monday, Thursday that I work. I go in, I look at the new ambassador report, and I immediately put in anyone that's joined. I create a contact for them. Then I go in and I send them an email based on what level they are underneath her. She has created all of those email templates. They're all on Google Drive. I just have to go find them. So anyone that's joined levels 4 through 7 gets a certain template. Anyone 2 through 3 gets a different one. And anyone that's a level 1 underneath her, I create the welcome email, but I leave it as a draft in her drafts because she typically personalizes those a little bit more. I also, for level 1s, this is something a little different. So everyone gets a welcome email. But for level 1s, she wants to follow up with them a little bit more. So I also go into her calendar and I put in appointments to follow up with them 5 to 6 days after they place their first order to make sure those products have arrived. 2 weeks after their order, just to say, how's it going? And then I put in a calendar appointment for her to check in with them at 1 month. And then I have that appointment repeat 4 times. So she is checking in with a new level 1 about 7 to 8 times total. So I put those calendar appointments in for her for level 1s. Levels 2 through 7 just get a welcome email. Now, some of those people are going to respond to that welcome email. One of the things I do is I read those responses. If it's just a very generic response like, hey, thanks, can't wait to start the products, then she created another template that is a generic response to their response that I then send for her. And I file that email away in her Plexus folder. So she actually never deals with those generic responses. If it's something that asks a specific question or it's something that is a little more personal, I leave it as unread, and that way she knows that's something she needs to deal with. So welcome emails are a big part. Like I said, I do those twice a week at least. Something I do once a week on Thursdays is I send her an auto ship email. This email is, she has told me exactly what she wants it to have, and I'll show you this in a second. But the first thing she wants is she wants any new level ones that have joined in the last month. So I put in their name, I put in when they joined, and I put their email address so that she has that information in one place. Then for the auto ship email, I send this on a Thursday. So I look at everyone for the next 10 days out. So for example, today is April 4th. This email that I just sent her today goes for anyone that's got an auto ship going through April 5th through the 15th. So the next 10 days. And what I do is I give the date their shipment, their subscription is supposed to go out, their name, what they bought the last month, and then their email address so that she can check in with them and have that information right there. I also include in this email if any other customers that are not set up for an auto shipment placed a random order, I put their information in there as well from that week. At the end of every month, the last auto ship email, so for example in April, the last Thursday in April, I'll also include at the very bottom any new ambassadors that joined locally, and her version of locally is an hour away from Little Rock, so or Maumelle, where she's at. So I put in the date they joined, their name, where they live, and their sponsor and their email. And she wants that information once a month. So the welcome emails are every time I work. The auto ship is just on Thursdays. And here's the auto ship email. Hopefully you can see that. It just includes that information. And like I said, I send that once a week on Thursdays. It used to include other information, but it kind of has changed over the years. Another thing I do is when she has a new customer join, she sends me the email that she gets from Plexus with their name and email. I create a contact for them. I go in and I look up what they ordered, and then I create a product instruction email for her. That is basically based off of something, again, she has created. I just look up, okay, they ordered Slim and ProBio. I copy and paste the paragraphs for those two products. I put it into an email. She has different images she wants me to attach, and then I leave that in her emails, in her drafts, so that she can go in and personalize it as she needs to. For new customers, I also put in a reminder. So anytime I do something for her that sits in her drafts, I put in a reminder on her calendar that it's done. So if someone is a new customer, I'm going to go into her calendar and just put in their name and say send product instructions. I put it... She's told me when to put appointments on what days, so I know certain days I put appointments between 2 and 4. Other days I put between 9:30 and 12:30. That's something she's told me. If I put it somewhere where she can't deal with it, at least it pops up on her phone and she's reminded that she needs to deal with it when she can. Another thing that I do is twice a month, at the middle of the month and at the end of the month. So approximately the 14th or 15th and the 29th of the month. I go in and I... send her an email. It's called the mid-month and the end of the month check-in. And that email, let me see if I can pull one up here, has a list of people whose, for whatever reason, their order got stuck. Their credit card got declined or whatever. And then it also includes a list of people who have a subscription that's under 99 PV for the month. So what I do is anyone whose order gets stuck throughout the month, I don't send her the email until the middle and the end, but I'm working on it the whole month. I go in and I look and I see, okay, this person's order on the first of the month got stuck. So she has created drafts for me and I send them an email based on what number of time is this. So if this is the first time their order got stuck, they get the first email. If it's the second, they get a second. And if it's the third, they get the third. After the third, we kind of stop reaching out. But I do that for anyone whose order shows up as incomplete or declined in the back office. I should mention I only do that for her levels 1 through 3, just to keep it manageable because I don't think we'd be able to reach out to everyone. So I send out those emails to people and I will show you. So this is her Google Drive. Obviously, she has all kinds of stuff. I have created a folder that's labeled by my name. And in here, it has the drafts that I need. So this is the first email. This is the second. This is the third. And then I also have a different draft that goes out to people who their renewal that's trying to auto renew their subscription, not their subscription, but their whatever you pay for the annual fee for Plexus, that $34.95. a lot of people that gets declined because it's an old credit card. I have a separate email that I send to those people. Occasionally, I will send out handwritten thank you packages for Carissa. And that's something, obviously, she lets me know, hey, I'm going to bring you some cards. I need you to send this. Here's what I want you to write to this person. So I definitely run to the post office for her sometimes. Every Christmas, I do a big mail out for her. And this is all based off of information she gives me, where she says, this group of people is getting this note and this gift. And I write the note, I put the gift together, I mail it for her. That's obviously just once a year that I do that, but that's a very big task that typically we start working on around Thanksgiving. Another thing that I do for her that she says is huge for her, it's harder for me. It's taken us a lot of communication to figure out how to do this, but I basically go through her emails and I figure out what should stay and what should go. The way that we've done this is just kind of trial and error. I just will scroll through and say, hey, here's a bunch of emails from this. And usually it's a company. What do you want me to do with those? And she says either leave them unread, file them in this file, or delete. And I do it. And again, I put that information that she tells me on that Word document so that I know, so I don't have to go back and say, hey, what do I do with those emails again? So I can go through and file a bunch of emails away from her that are just kind of like, not spam, but just things she's signed up for, subscriptions she has that maybe she doesn't care to read anymore. And what I try to do is I try to, and it takes obviously work from both of us here, but we try to keep her emails around 25 so that she can feel like that's manageable and she can work with it. But like I said, that takes a lot of trial and error. It takes a lot of communication of me saying, hey, Carissa, here's an email. What do I do with this? And she either, she gives me feedback or she says, oh, leave that one. That's something I have to deal with. I also take care of her financials. What that means is I log every expense that she has for her business and every bit of income that comes in on a spreadsheet. Then from that spreadsheet, I input it into QuickBooks so that it's all in QuickBooks as well. That includes mileage and expenses and income. I also check her credit card statement for things that show up on there that won't automatically, because QuickBooks is linked to her bank account. So anything that comes out of her business bank account automatically shows up in QuickBooks. Her credit card does not. So I regularly go through her credit card statement and put things that show up in there into the spreadsheet and into QuickBooks. If there's something in there that she has not reported to me, because she typically tells me all of her expenses, but let's say there's a post office charge that I haven't heard from her about, I highlight that a certain color in the spreadsheet, and then I email her about those and say, hey, here are 5 charges that I haven't heard from you. Can you give me more information? So that I know what to label it as in QuickBooks and how to categorize it. And then the last thing I do for her is at the end of the month, and for us, it's the 23rd is when her month ends for payroll, is I send her a text and say, here's how many hours I worked at the rate, the hourly rate, and so here's the total amount that I've made for this month. And that might sound silly, but that's just one less thing she has to do. So she just gets the text from me, and then she forwards it on to her payroll manager. So I hope that wasn't too much. I hope it wasn't too fast. I've not done one of these before, so I hope it was okay. The biggest things I do for her, I try to just, like I said, take as much off of her plate that I can by sending the welcome emails to everyone new that joins her team, creating product instruction emails for all new customers based off of what they ordered. I put a lot of calendar appointments in her calendar, whether it's something that I've done that I want her to know, hey, this is finished and you can send it, or just a reminder over time for her to do. And then I send the auto shipment reminder once a week. I contact everyone whose order showed up as incomplete or their credit card was denied for her first 3 levels, and I send them 3 different emails dependent on which part of the process we're in. I also do that for people whose renewal for the year gets declined. And then I send emails to people whose subscription is under 99 PV. It's basically, I don't think I talked about that, but it's a draft she made basically explaining how they can save money if they would order more in bulk. So I send those emails. And then, of course, I pare down her inbox to where it's manageable for her, and I take care of her financials as well. So I hope that's been helpful. I'm sorry I don't really know how to show more on my computer, but hopefully that's helpful. And if you need more information, I'd be happy to share more. Carissa can certainly get you in contact with me if that would be helpful. But best of luck.